Okay, uh, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Monday webinar. And it's great to have Garth on as our special guest this evening. He's going to be talking to us about the binary compensation plan that we have here with NHT Global and how to gain financial freedom with a binary plan. And I don't know if all of you, hopefully you were on the webinar on Saturday listening to the great Helene from Sweden. And she even mentioned herself about the binary plan with NHT Global. And, you know, when she got started first, she asked a very good friend of hers who was really an expert in this field to check out the compensation plan. And she said, and I was so, you know, impressed when she said this, she said she sat there with her heart in her mouth waiting for him to come back and say there was something wrong or he'd found a fault. But she said he actually came back and he said it was probably the best compensation plan he'd ever seen. So that should be a lot of comfort to everybody out there listening in this evening, or anybody that's going to be listening to the recording of this webinar, because it is being recorded. So for those of you who haven't met Garth, Garth's been with NHT Global for nearly since the start. He's been responsible for building the whole Russian team. He's been developing Europe and the Europe team. He's got probably teams in every single country globally. And he's been to Ireland a number of times now. In fact, you know, I used to be able to say once or twice, but I know you've been here more than that, Garth, and we've lost count because you've been so supportive of the Irish team. And it's always an honour to have you here in Ireland. Look forward to your next visit. Hopefully it will be early in the new year. I want to wish your mother-in-law well, because I know she hasn't been well, and you've been, you know, you've been having a tough time there for the last few weeks, but I hope she's on the mend now. You were saying to me that she was, so you can wish her well from the Irish team. And I'm going to pass it over to you, Garth. Do you want me to leave this picture up for a minute, because you can talk about the helicopter? I don't know if you're flying it yourself or was it being flown for you?
No, actually, 2 years ago in Hong Kong, there was a special incentive for people who qualified that they would get a free helicopter tour of Hong Kong. And so I think it was Dalibor, myself, and 4 others, plus one of the NHT Global staff workers, Tasha. And it was truly one of the most incredible flights I've ever been on in my life, and that's saying a lot because I've been on a lot of flights, but this was amazing. So I hope that that's something that they will offer next year if they do it again in Hong Kong or if they did it in Singapore, because it's something you just don't want to miss. So next time you're in Hong Kong, whether you're on an incentive trip or not, go up in a helicopter and check out the city. It's like flying over the Grand Canyon of cities. Amazing.
Well, I was there. Unfortunately, I didn't go long enough. So next time I'm in Hong Kong, I'll definitely be doing that. I fancy the look of that helicopter myself.
Okay. Hey, can I do something with you, Sonia? I want to talk just really quickly about the signature features of the binary, and I want you to listen in, and I want you to catch me on anything additional that you can say about our binary, because there's a lot about it. But I want to cover these points really quickly, and for people to think about this before we get into me talking about how to build financial freedom with the binary. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Maybe some of these will appeal to you and you can pipe in if you have some comments. Certainly one of the things that stands out to me about our binary is the availability of early retirement. And the fact that there are people that start in this company, and I really, truly believe it's because not just the products and not just the leadership and not just the company, not just the fact that we pay the highest percentage of commissions of any major company in network marketing, but it is especially because of the binary that people can get into this business, and if they just really hit it hard, whether they've been in for quite a while and they've been taking it easy and now they're going to hit it, or they just joined the business, it doesn't matter. Once you decide to really go for it, and I'm going to talk about how you can do this on the webinar tonight, but once you decide to really go for it, you could literally retire if you did this right 3 years from now with a 6-figure annual income. And so if that's attractive to people, that is certainly available. And something that's really nice is our company doesn't require you, once you reach really any level, it doesn't require you to keep doing presentations, to keep flying around, to keep doing big events. You don't have to go anywhere. You can literally just retire, and they're not going to be angry because you're collecting a lot of money and you're just sitting on a beach somewhere up in your mountain cabin or in a wonderful pub in Dublin and enjoying great traditional Irish music and the best beer in the world. Whatever you're doing, you can retire early, and I think that that's a pretty fantastic thing. What do you think, Sonia?
Yep, absolutely. And there's plenty of people that I want to copy in NHT Global, because I know there's quite a lot of them enjoying an amazing lifestyle. In fact, there's a lot of them. There isn't just one or two or three or four. There's hundreds. And you know, even this month, I can see quite a lot of people on the Irish team are probably going to hit some of those levels that you're talking about. So it's starting to move already here. You know, we've got somebody about to hit rank 5, rank 3, rank 2. There's a few people going to hit rank 1. You know, that only just got started in the business. So the speed, we've speeded up a little bit here. And you're right. You know, when you start hitting the levels and the ranks, you can certainly see the income coming in. And that's really what the levels and the ranks are about, isn't it? The income.
Yeah, for sure. But you can also see the handwriting on the wall, which is if there was something else that you've always dreamed of doing in your life, other than going to the top in NHT Global, and I'm sure almost everybody who joins the business has some other things they'd like to do, even other careers they'd like to do, even that great restaurant they want to open, or learn that musical instrument, or tour the world and write for travel magazines, or whatever you want to do. It's pretty cool that you could retire early and with our binary. The second point that I wanted to talk about is that it pays to infinity. And I guess for those of you experienced in network marketing, I don't need to tell you that there are plenty of companies out there that claim that they do this, but they don't actually do it. And they pay to a certain level, and the money stops unless you do this and this and that. And we just don't have that in our plan. So it pays to infinity. And if I have somebody on my 500th level in Mexico City and they buy a platinum package, I make the same amount of money as if I have somebody who lives across the street and join my business in year 1. So that really is an infinity binary. Another thing is that it is a binary, which means it is only 2 legs. And in a high number of the biggest, like the $1 billion and above network marketing companies in the world, it's not a binary program. It's usually what's called a stair-step breakaway. And I actually kind of like that title because my first company was a stair-step breakaway. It was a company where I met Dan Cato and Joe Garcia. And that was a company where I had to build 5 legs. To get to the very top, I had to do 1 million BV between those 5 legs. And I had to do it in a certain period of time. And so I was running back and forth between the legs trying to keep that thing propped up so that I could qualify and go to a higher level. And it was just killing me. And I am very thankful that when I look in my back office and I look at my genealogy, I am not looking at 5 legs. I'm not worried about whether people keep their qualifications so they can even get paid but I just know, just like me, they build two legs. Another thing about our binary, which I love, which took me a little time, if you can imagine, I'm a little slow, but it took me a while to understand, is that you can sponsor people anywhere in your organization. So it was great to know that I wasn't limited to the choices that were made by the people underneath me as far as building the business, and constantly frustrated by that. But if I saw a great place to recruit or to place a new person that I recruited, I could place them anywhere I wanted to, anywhere that I knew that it would be a tremendous encouragement, or it would be the right person for a certain individual in my downline, and I could place that person, and that is a wonderful thing about my business. Sonia, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going through these points, but I'll pause every once in a while if you want to chime in with any comments. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
So will I bring up your slide?
Yeah, I'm still working on my points.
Okay.
And I haven't gotten to the slides. Just so you know, you're not going to have to stare at a picture of me on a helicopter for the whole webinar. I do have a slide presentation prepared, but I'd be happy if you've got your phone on record, and I know this will be recorded as well, if you're writing down some points, because the points that I'm talking about our binary are points that are excellent recruiting tools. And when you do something, which I always recommend, which is to master the art of asking great questions, and then you can find out everything you want to know about your prospect and what they want to hear and what is their hot button. So if you know all these things about the binary, you can bring them out at any point. If you know somebody started late and would love to know about early retirement, great. If you know somebody who was in a company that had them build 5 or 6 or 10 or 25 legs to reach the very top of a certain big company that you all know, and that was what they were involved in before, and you can focus on the 2 legs. I mean, these are all benefits that I'm talking about, so they're great recruiting tools. Another one is, it's the same 20% on your soft side to infinity. And yes, companies do still exist out there who pay you like first level 3%, second level 2%, third level 5, fourth level 7, sixth level this, eighth level that, and then they brag that they paid you something on your 9th level. Well, we just paid the 20% flat out on the soft side to infinity, and that is a fantastic benefit for people who are in the old, I don't want to say old because those companies are thriving. I just think our plan is a whole lot better. Another one is, if you can imagine, there are companies out there where your accumulated volume goes to 0 each month. I always look at mine and say, okay, this is like having a BV bank account. If I didn't cycle through it all this week, I can do it next week. It's just accumulating. But there are some that say, no, on the 30th, 31st of the month at midnight, 1 second after, it all goes to 0 and you start over. You don't do that in our business. You don't do that in our plan. You get paid every week in our binary plan. There are companies that pay you once a month. There are companies that pay you special different bonuses here and there, or don't pay you at all because you didn't do a certain thing. But every week, if you just have volume on your left, volume on your right, enough that you can cycle, and our cycle point is very small and not difficult. When I started out in our business, our cycle point was you had to have 5,000 BV on one leg and 2,500 on the other to cycle. We've made it so easy now to get paid every week. Another one is that you're qualified for life. There are lots of companies out there that when you join the business and you get to a certain level, you are not necessarily going to hold that level. you can go boom, 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 all the way back down to the bottom because you didn't keep up. Another one is that you will never, ever be passed. Can you imagine that there are companies that exist that if you don't do it great and keep doing it great, balancing 2, 5, 10, whatever number of legs and keeping up with their program, a star that you recruited under you could literally go past you, and you would never make money on that person again unless you somehow did better than they did and climbed back up on top in terms of qualification. It's really, really terrible. Another one, people complain about binaries and say, you know, you got to have those 2 legs, and what if you get a giant leg and a fantastic person on one leg and you can't get it going on the other leg, and you try and all that time you're not making any money. No, you can earn great money on one leg. As I said in a recent webinar, I've got a guy in my business that I personally recruited, and I believe that the day will come in the not distant future when the 10% bonus that I make based on his commissions will be enough to pay all of my bills. Imagine one person I recruited who stayed active, built 2 legs, and I could make enough money to retire on the 10% on his income. Think about that. And I've got another guy in my business who's also within reach of my matching bonus there on his commissions, who is going to also be an incredible earner, who's going to reach ambassador, and who's also got people that he personally recruited, and he's going to be in the same position, and on and on. That's on one leg. Tremendous benefit of the binary. And Sonia, I'll ask, do you have any comments to make on this?
Well, I always think that, you know, the NHT Global Compensation Plan is incredible, but you've just, you know what I forgot about? I forgot about, you know, that nobody can pass you out. And I am aware of other network marketing companies where that can happen. And when the person goes up over you, that was under you, you lose all your commissions. And I've seen it happen. And the person gets disillusioned with the company. So that's actually an incredible point that you've just made there. And I'd forgotten about that one, Garth, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I also think it's, you know, it's amazing that it pays on one leg, and that's very important because there are quite a few people who, you know, they're, say, one team starts building faster than the other, and you know they think, oh, I'm never going to get that other team going, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to make money on the first team that's building. You know, you don't have to wait. So it is there are points to remember, and you're right. I mean, these are points to, you know, highlight when we're talking to prospects, because it is an incredible compensation plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm going to just keep going because I've got a few more points about our binary, and then we're going to get to the presentation on how to have financial freedom with the binary. You only need to find 2 stars. You literally, I don't know, just think about this. Imagine you recruit really, really hard for the next year, and no matter what you do, you get to the end of the year and you only have one lifetime superstar on one leg. It took you a whole year, but you got one person who's proven that they're going to stick with it and they're going to make it to the top, but you're crying because you think, oh, this is so terrible. I'm in a binary and I just have this one star. You know what it means? Now you're building a unary. I don't even know if there is such a thing, but now you have one leg with one star, and that star's team, and they're not going to quit anytime soon. Maybe not in your lifetime, because they're depending on it, and their families are depending on it, and on and on. And guess what your job is? Your job is, of course, congratulate them, take them out to dinner, thank them very much, speak at their events, be very happy for them. But you just have to do it one more time. And you're done. Now, it doesn't mean you recruit somebody, and I'm going to talk about that during this webinar. It doesn't mean you recruit somebody and then just, oh, they're a star, and you let them go, and you don't have to do anything more. You do have to drive them deep, but it's just 2 stars. Can you do that? If it took you 2 years to find one, I don't know, Joe Garcia, and then it took you 2 more years to find on the other leg a Dan Gatto, or use whoever you have in your superstar book, would it be worth it to hit it and just persist no matter what for 2 or 3 or 4 years? You better believe it. Absolutely. Okay. Another one is that you start at the top. So you buy platinum and you get paid at that level from the beginning. A lot of other companies, you climb and climb and climb and climb your way to the highest commission level. With this one, you just can start at the top. It's so great that people from other companies who've never seen a plan like this, they literally have a hard time believing you when you tell them. But it's absolutely true. Another one is, of course, low monthly activation, but I'm very thankful that in most of the industry, that's now true. When I joined the network marketing back in 1991, in my first company, I had to either buy or recruit 1,000 BV a month, or I wouldn't get paid. And that has certainly changed, and I love low monthly activation. And then there's no specified time to move to a higher level. And yes, it's true. In other companies, it's possible that they tell you, if you don't make it to this level in 30 days, fall back down. If you don't do this in 90 days, fall back down. We don't have a period of time to move to a higher level. So those are just some of the things that I can say about the binary, and I know that if I had Dalibor, Thomas, Dan, Joe on here, they would come up with more points. But I love our binary, and it is absolutely a foundation to what I'm going to say to you now using my slides on this webinar. So, Sonia, now is the time when you can do that. Okay, so I want to talk to you first. I like to couch this training around a guy who is not in Europe, so that nobody can single out that person unless you have been to Busan in South Korea on the other side of the world. You don't know this guy personally, but I'm going to tell you a few things about him, and then I'm going to tell you what he has done at a very young age. He's in his mid-20s, if you can imagine, to set himself up to be on his way to becoming an ambassador. So Yoon is unique, and at the same time, he's the same as you and me. When I first met Yoon, he weighed, I guess, 30 pounds more than he does now, 4 years later, 3 years later, I don't remember. But if you can imagine, he was a chubby young guy fighting acne and fighting to have anybody take him seriously. But inside, he didn't see a chubby young guy. He saw a superstar standing on stages in front of thousands and tens of thousands of people. And if you saw Yoon today, if he was walking by in a crowd, the only reason you would notice him is maybe that he has a smile on his face and his head is held high. But he is not a movie star looking guy from South Korea. He is the guy at the bakery when you go in and get your pastries. I mean, he's just a regular guy. But at the same time, because of who he believes himself to be and sees himself to be in our company using our binary and with his team, he is a walking, living, breathing ambassador who just hasn't quite stepped into the time reality of that. But in every other way, he is. He started in network marketing at the age of 16 because his mother is a full-time professional, so he's watched the business since that time and actually became got started in the business, I think, while he was still underage. They probably fibbed a little bit on the application. His work ethic is unmatched. And of course, I haven't seen everybody's work ethic in China, but I can tell you that this guy, Yoon, he will wake up first thing in the morning and he'll see a new picture of a new region of his country that he can launch. He will see a person who needs a call. He will jump out of bed and begin to work, excited. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, his time, it's 7 hours later there, so it's early in the evening for me. I'll get an excited message from him. He's wide awake and he wants to chat with me on something called Kakao Talk, which is their version of Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever. And he'll want to send me emoticons of excitement and chat with me for the next 30 minutes. And I'm just thinking, you know, I hope this guy doesn't die of a heart attack. But I think that when people are really, really happy and excited, it probably makes their heart healthy. I don't know what you think, but this guy is really, really amazing. He drives a big BMW with Yoon Woo Ambassador beautifully printed on the back window. Every time he looks in his rearview mirror, he sees his title to be. Every time people see his car drive up, they see who he believes himself to be. And these are things that I'm not saying you need to do the same. I'm just telling you, here's a success story, and I hope that this can give you some inspiration. Every month, he is always the top recruiter in his organization. I couldn't hit this point hard enough. Really, really important. Yoon, who doesn't need to be the top recruiter, is always the top recruiter. And Yoon always qualifies for every special trip that they offer. And they go on a lot of trips, and he's always there with his team. And he communicates with me constantly. One of the things that kind of makes me crazy with people when they're really, really excited is I'll send them an email when they first join the business, and I'll tell them, listen, I'd be happy to speak with you on Skype. I want to do some three-ways with you with your top prospects. I am excited to hear every time that you sponsor a new person and you're excited, or every time you cycle and you get some money and you're excited, or anything that makes you excited. Or even if you're down, you can communicate with me and I want to communicate with you. Now, obviously, in many countries that are in my organization where people don't speak English, it's understandable that I don't hear from them. But in the ones that I do, please, it's part of my job, and I love people, and so I love communicating with you, and I'm happy that I've spoken in the last week, not just with Sonia, but with several other people in the Irish organization, and it was very, very encouraging for me. So it doesn't just help you, it helps me as well. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. Yoon recruited just 2 people when he began, just like everybody else. I mean, almost everybody comes in. Sometimes you come in and your sponsors helps you and places a new person underneath you on one leg just as an encouragement. But of course, everybody has to sponsor someone personally on each leg, people who place orders. Otherwise, you're not even qualified to make money off your organization. But what Yoon did is he decided, I'm going to recruit 2 of my best friends, guys that I like to hang out with anyway, guys that cheer me up, guys that want me to be successful, and I want them to be successful, and I love to be with them. And so he recruited 2 of his best friends and put one on one leg and one on the other leg. And that is Mr. Shin and Mr. Chun. And just to mention something about these guys, I know they're never going to listen to the webinar because they don't speak a word of English, but Mr. Shin always dresses in a 3-piece suit and looks incredible every time that I see him. I mean, in terms of like looking like a high-class, high-income businessman. Mr. Chun, we just call him Chun because it sounds kind of formal to call him Mr. Chun, I have rarely seen him in anything but a t-shirt, maybe a windbreaker, some jeans, and very often what I call flip-flops or sandals. And yet here are the two guys that are at the top of Yoon's business and who are building and who are pushing that they can be ambassadors in this company. So I'm happy to say, if you're a person who right now could run in and look in your wardrobe and you see all kinds of incredible expensive clothing in there, or you look in your wardrobe and there's just a few favorite shirts, favorite pants, favorite pairs of shoes, etc., and people are always complaining why you look like such a laid-back slob, you can still go to the top. So just please don't show up at an event and go up on stage dressed like a slob. Okay, next slide. Yoon went with these two guys because these guys didn't have experience in network marketing in a binary, and he went with them to recruit down into their legs. And I just have to ask you a question because I've seen this problem for all the years that I've been in this business. Have you recruited anybody in your business who was excited and then you accepted their lie when they told you, sorry, but people lie. I mean, let's be honest, people lie. But have you believed them when they've told you that they don't need any help, their experience, they want to do the presentations on their own, they don't want you to go with them, it would feel funny, people would think it's strange, and so they will do it themselves. Don't buy into it, okay? You got two legs, you got new people coming into those legs, you have a responsibility, just as Yoon did countless times with Mr. Shin and Mr. Chun, and went with them to recruit down into their legs and help them to become very, very good at recruiting. And once he knew that they could, and not only that they could, but that they could teach others to do the same, then and only then did he stop going with them to do presentations. So, next point. And before I go on, I'm going to bother Sonia. I know she's there because I'm forcing her to advance slides.
I'm here. I'm here.
And if you have any comment about recruiting year two or going with them to do their first presentations, I'd be happy to hear it.
Well, the only question I was going to ask you here, and I'm sure one or two of us were going to ask you the same question, did Mr. Shin and Mr. Chun know each other?
Mr. Shin and Mr. Chun did know each other. They knew each other. They knew each other because they all knew Yoon. They were buddies.
Okay.
And please, if I gave the impression that Mr. Chun went on presentations with Mr. Shin, that didn't happen. These are two separate legs, and Yoon went. Yeah. Okay.
I was only asking because if I was recruiting two friends, I'd tend to put them in the same team.
I see. Yeah. Well, all I can tell you is what Yoon chose to do, and I will tell you that there is one problem that people can get into when they sign people up and then they promise, okay, everybody we know, you can have them all because that's only fair. Or everybody in your city, let's say you recruit somebody in another city or even a country, everybody in your city or your country, they're all yours, and I'm never going to recruit anybody in your city or your country. That is not a plan that's going to work in a binary. I've got to tell you, you just don't make promises like that. You don't know when people come in if they're going to even do 10% of what they promised to do. and you can't leave any field or any people untouched. You can say to a person who knows a bunch of your friends as well, okay, here's my list of friends, and I've seen your list of friends, so let's go ahead and say, here are some that you're closer to and you can go to. That's great. But I got to tell you, if I check with you in a couple of weeks and you haven't presented the business to them, I'm going.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've seen people give away whole countries because they promised that they would. And when I started out and I was in Ljubljana, Slovenia, I promised all the people in Ljubljana, those first people, I'm going to just let you take care of Ljubljana and this leg, and I'm not going to recruit anybody in Ljubljana because you know all these people and everything. I'll just turn them over to you. I kept meeting prospects that I wanted to put on my other leg, and I was like, why did I make that stupid promise? Okay. Anyway, okay, we can go on to, okay, they only recruited platinum or above. Yeah, you can go back. We don't need to move on yet. Can you go back to the only recruited platinum or above is the last point. There you go. Okay, let's not skip ahead. Well, you just had Dan Cato, so of course I know Dan is Mr. Platinum. He's Mr. Platinum and he's Mr. IRP, and that is fantastic because, I mean, let's face it, who's going to make the most amount of money? The person who has an organization riddled with bronze and silvers and golds, or the person who pretty much just tells everybody and sells it like there's no tomorrow, because there's a lot of great points about it, that they must build a platinum organization. You're going to make so much more money. You know, it's $12.50 BV to start, or 500 or 250 or 90. I mean, just think about the income difference. And of course, that fully well explains the massive incomes of these people in China and other parts of the world who are building platinum organizations. So you need to do that. But in your two legs, you need to do that as well. You really need to go back and focus on this with people. If you find that they're slipping into the, oh, I can't find anybody who would consider marketing business for 2,000 euros. But they wouldn't have any problem if somebody said to them, hey, would you spend $2,000 on it, or euros on an education so that you could become vice president of a company and you could make $100 or $200 or $500,000 a year? And they go, are you kidding? That'd be the best $2,000 you ever spent. But in network marketing, people get all embarrassed about the cost of a platinum package, and that you're asking them to join a business where they can make in the second or third year a six-figure income, and you compare that with some other business and it's just nuts. I mean, you know, what other thing is there in the network marketing, and especially a binary, an infinity binary that pays like ours does, that can match that? Really? I mean, anyway, I just got to tell you, Yoon recruited only platinum or above. He got people, 2 days ago we recruited somebody with a 3,000 BV first order. So just go for it, because they need it if they're going to be serious about having a real business. Okay, next point. When Yoon finds out that there's a product in the rest of the world that they don't have in South Korea, he makes me buy that product for him and bring it. And he would have me send it to him in the post every month so that he could always have every product that NHT Global has to offer around the world, even when it's not available in South Korea. That's how totally fanatical he is about using the products. And Sonia will like to hear this. When they do their once a month big training, which lasts, I don't know, from 1 until 5 in the afternoon, they spend half the time talking about the products in detail, giving testimonies, They have so many product slides. It's unbelievable. They're so focused on it. But you know what the result is? Everybody in the room, if I showed you a picture of people in his organization, I could tell you they're all full of NHC Global products. And they use them up, and then they have to buy more. So very often, a bunch of the BV that I get from South Korea comes from South Koreans who are already platinums or above. They actually don't have platinum there. They call it gold, but they have gold packages. And just quickly tell you, they have 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 5,000 BB gold packages. So same marketing plan, just a different attempt at packages. But I've got people who order platinum packages like practically every month to take care of themselves and family members and everything, and that's just for themselves. So if you imagine if you had an organization filled with people who were constantly reordering for themselves and all their family, how much money would you make? I mean, this is absolutely a tremendous, tremendous key to building your business. Get people on all the products, living on all the products, so that they'd feel deprived, like they're going to die without the products, and they've got to have them. And you'll not only have a tremendously healthy organization, you'll have a really, really healthy weekly commission. So, okay, next slide. And before I go on, just say, Sonia, are you a product of the product?
I have every single product, and I use every single product.
Okay.
Every single one. You want me to go through my daily ritual?
And you know a lot about the products, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I love the products.
Yeah. That's why whenever I go to Ireland, I say, Sonia, I'm not going to even begin to teach about the products in front of you. Would you please get up and do it? And then I'm sure every time that you do, I'm going to learn something more about the products. I love it.
Look, I'm doing what Yuna's doing because I keep an eye on other products in other countries, so I can even tell you about products that we don't have here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I won't, not tonight.
No. So the next point is Yoon followed up continually, helping his leaders to do the same and only working with the active. Now, what is follow-up? Follow-up is not, hey, how's it going? Oh, great. And follow-up is not a phone call once in a while. Follow-up is tracking the person in your back office. Follow-up is knowing what they're ordering and they're using. Follow-up is asking them, what are your goals for the number of presentations, the number of exposures, the number of times you're in a position to ask a person to make a decision, the number of times that you're working with people underneath you to get qualified. This is the kind of follow-up that I'm talking about. And if you do this kind of in-depth follow-up with your people who are active, and when I say active, I'm talking about people who are consistently recruiting, they're doing presentations, they show up at every event, they don't come to the events alone, they're more than willing to help out in any way they can, they're ready to give a testimony, they're happy to stand up and do part of the presentation, they're an encouragement when you see them. These are the really active people. Is that too much? Well, let me tell you, in the long run, those are the people that are going to enable you to retire, and not people who don't do many of those things. It's as simple as that. They've got to be doing those things that I just told you, or they're really, really not active. But if they're doing those things, you do anything you can. And remember, just in 2 legs, to drive it deep and strong, you do anything you can to help them to be successful and to know what they're doing. Okay, next point. 4 years later, no, you went one
I
more.
know I did. Sorry about that.
Okay. 4 years later, Shin and Chun are still the top leaders. Usually, that's not how it works. It didn't work that way with me. That the first two people that I recruited in any way, shape, or form are the two top people in my business. Not at all. But it just so happened that this guy chose very well, and then he stuck with them just with the idea, I will not let my close friends who are willing to work hard, I will not let them stop until with me they reach the top. And with that kind of tenacious spirit toward his people. And that's why they're still there. That's why they're the top leaders. That's why they're the people. Every time I go, if I'm giving a cash prize or award or whatever else, if somebody's moving up the IRP, it's always these two guys and others underneath them. So please, once you identify the people who are the real deal, and there needs to be a number of them in each leg before you really find the superstars who can be on top of great organizations in each leg, and you could retire if you wanted to. But until then, whenever you identify the people who are really going for it, you stick with them, and you will find that they will still be the top leaders 10 or 20 years from now. Next point. Shin and Chun always go to Hong Kong. As a matter of fact, they go twice a year because for the Asia people, they have an event. And by the way, Shin and Chun don't speak Chinese. So when they go to these events, they're surrounded by people that they can't talk to. And often they don't have everything translated for them. But they always go because they know they've got to lead by example. Of course, Yoon goes. But they know that they've got to lead by example. And Yoon taught them that. You have to go. You can't not go. You're going to be in Hong Kong. So in January they go, and usually it's August. In August that they go when we have the really big one that we do. They always go to every South Korean event. I have never been there, and I've been many times when they're not in the room with their people, and then afterward going to dinners with their people and bringing prospects that are going to go under their people. They always do it, and they always qualify for every incentive trip. If there's a special trip that the South Korean people get to go on, I promise you, Yoon, Shin, and Chun are always there because they lead from the front. They lead by example. Okay, next point. They're pushing Yoon up the IRP. And Yoon would not be happy if they passed him. As a matter of fact, I think he would cry. But I can tell you this. Those two guys underneath him, although they love Yoon, ain't nothing going to stop them from getting to the top. And if for some reason Yoon slowed his pace and just sat back and was satisfied and happy with what he had, these guys would just keep going, and he could rest on his income, but they would stand on the top of the stage. Find some guys, when I say guys, I'm speaking generically, of course. Find some people like that. Next point. Here's our international recognition program, and I know this is a tiny little slide, but I know that you also have this in your computer. It's been sent to you. It's on the website. It's clear. If you go to the next one, though, here's the one that you really have to hit people with who talk about, is there serious income in this business? I would even add this to your regular presentation when you're doing recruiting. I would not be afraid to tell people this is what they make. You are not bragging about crazy commissions that nobody could earn or using special examples that nobody is like. You're using actual examples of how the numbers play out when you reach these levels. And if you look at that monthly income, you want very much to be a gold director, to be an emerald director, to be a platinum. 30,000 a month, a global ambassador. 60,000 a month. You know, I like the yearly income column, but the one that hits people is every month. And I would really let people know this binary works. This binary with just two legs enables people to have this kind of income. You do not have to be embarrassed to speak to anybody at any level, except a billionaire maybe, and say that we are in a business where people can make a tremendous income. So when you're questioning yourself whether or not this is really a thing, a real profession, like the real deal, like worth throwing yourself into, take a look at these columns again and ask yourself the question, how would my life change if I was an emerald director and was making 15,000 a month? And even if I retired, it would probably just go up and up and up. How would my life change? How would my life change at 30? How would my life change if monthly I made as much as I currently make in a year? This is the real deal. Sonia, do you have any comments about that?
Well, I can say safely that we've seen this kind of income already. It does happen. We've quite a few people here already earning some of those. As I say, we've somebody just about to hit director. And, you know, if you look at the bottom line there, guys, with the little star, it doesn't include the matching bonus or your retail commission or, you know, you actually earn more than that. If you're hitting those levels, you're going to earn more than that. That's just the actual cycles.
Okay, absolutely. I did have one more slide, and it's just to close the webinar.
Okay, here we go.
You need two teams, just two. Recruit until you find them, drive them deep, help them do the same, recruit more, financial freedom. And I want to just emphasize one more time on recruit more. I couldn't be more proud than I am of Joe Garcia. That here's a guy who has set the standard for recruiting excellence all the way to this day, who has personally sponsored, I don't know what the number is, but I think it's something like 500 personally sponsored who came in at the gold or the platinum level, and he just keeps recruiting and building. And if there's a guy that I could say in the fundamental work ethic, yeah, Yoon is awesome, but we'll see where he is in 5 years. But Joe Garcia started with Dan in 2001, and here he is doing the fundamental thing that we all need to be doing constantly. If that isn't a clue for what it takes to be successful, I don't know what is. So I just really congratulate that guy, and I'm incredibly thankful to have him in my upline. And of course, Dan, who, just to let you know, he called me 2 days ago and wouldn't let me off the phone until he figured I was probably so fired up I was pacing back and forth across the room. And so with upline leaders like that, you know, you have your role model. Be those kind of leaders and do these fundamental things and use this binary, because it is awesome and it is a key to your financial freedom. So that's what I have to share tonight, Sonia, and I thank you for letting me be on the webinar.
Oh, well, I don't think you need to thank me at all, Garth. I'm thanking you because, as I said earlier on, it's always so inspiring to listen to you. And I've just got one thing to say to everybody that's listening to this webinar tonight, okay? As soon as we have it recorded, and as soon as it is recorded, as soon as we have it uploaded, go back and listen to it again. This is one of the best webinars I think that we've ever had. I think, Garth, you've really spelled it out for us here. you know, the benefits of the binary plan and how incredible it is. You know, even as a recruiting tool to just talk about the compensation plan, I think you've just given us a whole load more ideas. So I think people should listen to this webinar at least once a week, every week. And when you've got your prospects and you've got, you know, new people on your team, I think you could play them this webinar. This is an incredible webinar, and it's one that I'll definitely. I'm actually going to listen to it again in about 10 minutes because I'll have to record it first. So, Garth, thank you so much for coming on this evening. And I don't know how to thank you because it's just fantastic to have you, and it's great that you give us the time. And you're a pretty high up person yourself there, along with Joe and Dan, and you know, you're always there for us. You're always at the end of an email or a phone call, and I just can't thank you enough.
Well, Sonia, I'm listening to you, and then all of a sudden it dawns on me, you're in my downline, you're in my organization. I am I am the one who's fortunate to have you in my business.
Well, we have a mutual admiration society here.
Okay. All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay, well, listen, thank you so much. As I say, guys, this webinar it is recorded, so we'll, you know, transfer it up live and we'll send you out the links as soon as it's ready to be uploaded. So thank you all for joining the webinar tonight, and I'll be talking to you again very shortly. So good night, everybody. Good night, Garth, and thank you very much.
Good night.